The story begins with a high school girl named Gorya who wins a scholarship to study at one of the fanciest schools in Bangkok, called Kocher High School. One day in class, a new student named Hana walks up to Gorya and asks if they can be friends. Hana has just moved from another country, and because she is having a hard time fitting in, she sees Gorya as someone kind and easy to approach. Gorya agrees, but she also gives Hana a quick warning about the most feared group in school, F4. F4 is made up of 4 super rich students, Thyme, Ren, Kevin, and MJ. At this school, if someone gets on their bad side, they end up finding a red card in their locker. And once that happens, their life at school basically turns into a nightmare. And this is where everything begins. This is F4 Thailand. Boys over flowers. Not long after that, a male student ends up getting a red card, and he is immediately dragged off to the school's old stadium to face F4's so-called trial. As soon as F4 shows up, the girls at school go wild. They are excited, impressed, and totally obsessed with them. Out of the 4, Thyme is clearly the most powerful. He acts like he owns the place, and honestly nobody dares to challenge him. While the bullying is going on, Gorya and Hana head over to see what is happening. And even though Thyme is the one leading it, Ren turns out to be different from the rest. He cannot stand watching people get hurt, so he quietly leaves the scene. Right before walking away, Ren notices Gorya standing there, and the two of them briefly lock eyes. After that, Gorya feels really upset by everything Thyme just did. She knows it is wrong, but there is nothing she can do. So out of pure frustration, she heads up to the school rooftop and screams her heart out. To her surprise, Ren is already there, and her scream ends up waking him up. Since Gorya apparently has a habit of doing this, Ren seems to recognize her right away. He just looks at her and gives her a soft, sweet smile before she leaves, and that moment quietly sticks with her. The next day, during lunch break, Gorya and Hana start talking about a girl they both admire, Meera. She is rich, elegant, and basically legendary at school. She is also close to F4, but right now she is studying in France. Then things suddenly get messy. Just as Hana is about to leave, she accidentally spills food on Thyme's shoe. The second that happens, everyone knows she could be in serious trouble. Desperate to fix it, Hana begs Thyme to forgive her and says she will do anything to make up for it. But Thyme, with that smug little smile of his, takes it way too far and tells Hana to lick his dirty shoe. The worst part is the students around them start cheering, like this is some kind of entertainment. That is when Gorya finally snaps. She slams her hand on the table and stands up, instantly catching Thyme's attention. Without backing down, Gorya walks right up to Thyme and tells him this has gone too far. Ren looks genuinely surprised by her courage because nobody usually dares to stand against Thyme like that. Gorya then asks him to let Hana go. Thyme keeps that same sly expression, but in the end, he accepts Gorya's apology on Hana's behalf. Then he walks over to Hana and tells her she is lucky to have a friend like Gorya. After that, F4 finally leaves the cafeteria. The next day, everything changes for Gorya. She finds a red card in her locker, which means she officially becomes the next target of F4. Within seconds, students start recording her and spreading it in their group chats like it is some kind of entertainment. Gorya gets furious, crumples the card, and runs off. But that only makes things worse. From that moment on, she is hunted around the school. Students follow her, throw basketballs at her to trip her, and even pour water all over her just to humiliate her. It becomes too much, and once again, Gorya runs up to the rooftop to let everything out. As she screams in frustration, she realizes she is not alone. Ren is there again, quietly watching her. He notices she is soaked and points her toward a black cloth nearby, but Gorya ignores him and tries to leave. Suddenly, Ren pulls her back and covers her mouth because the bullies are nearby searching for her. When they ask him if he has seen Gorya, he calmly lies and sends them away, keeping her safe. After that, Ren tells her to stay hidden on the rooftop until things calm down. Once he leaves, Gorya picks up the black cloth and notices something unexpected. There is a painting of her, capturing the exact moment she was screaming earlier. It leaves her confused and she cannot help but glance in the direction Ren went. She ends up hiding until late at night. Thinking it is finally safe, she goes back to the locker room to grab her bag, but the bullies are still there waiting. This time, they go even further, tearing her clothes and pushing her until she breaks down in fear. Just when things get really bad, Ren shows up again and stops them. After everything settles, Ren quietly gives her something to cover herself while she is still crying. He does not say much, he just stays there and watches over her. Gorya admits that she cannot even go home because people are still waiting for her outside. So Ren creates a distraction, drawing attention away from her, giving her a chance to escape safely. But even after all that, her problems are far from over. The next day, the red card is gone, but the bullying continues. This time, the students working under Thyme take something precious from her: her shoes, the ones her mother gave her. They bring them to the old stadium where Thyme is already waiting. Right in front of her, Thyme destroys the shoes with a knife and throws them away like they mean nothing. Gorya stands there, holding back tears as she picks up the damaged shoes. Even then, she still puts them on, refusing to let go of something important to her. As Thyme warns her not to challenge him again, something in Gorya finally snaps. Without hesitation, she kicks him using those broken shoes and sends him falling to the ground. She grabs onto him and makes it clear that she is not going to back down anymore. For the first time, Thyme says nothing. He just looks at her, completely caught off guard. And standing nearby, Ren and the others cannot help but feel impressed by Gorya's courage. The next day, things take a strange turn. Thyme secretly takes Gorya to his house. Once they arrive, he has her dressed up and made to look completely different. For a moment, Gorya is just staring at herself in the mirror, almost not recognizing who she is. But then Thyme suddenly shows up behind her, which instantly snaps her out of it and makes her angry. It turns out Thyme did all of this just to talk. He offers her expensive things and tries to get her to record a video apologizing to him. But Gorya is not the type to give in like that. She refuses right away, and the situation quickly turns into an argument. Then everything shifts the moment Thyme's mother, Rosalyn, walks in. She has a strong and intimidating presence, and Thyme immediately goes quiet in front of her. After that, Gorya returns to school, but nothing has changed. The bullying continues, and it starts to wear her down again. Frustrated, she heads back to the rooftop to vent like always. After letting everything out, she notices the spot where Ren usually rests and feels a bit relieved that he is not there this time. But out of nowhere, Ren appears behind her and catches her off guard. He had actually heard everything she was saying earlier. Instead of teasing her, he casually invites her to sit and talk, which ends up making Gorya a little flustered. The next morning, things get worse again. Hana receives a red card and Gorya immediately rushes to the old stadium. When she gets there, Hana is already in tears after being bullied by Thyme's group. This time, even within F4, not everyone is okay with what is happening. MJ chooses to stay out of it, and Kevin clearly looks uncomfortable when things start going too far. But Thyme's group keeps pushing it. Right when they're about to humiliate Hana even more, Gorya steps in without hesitation and stands right in front of her friend. She calls Thyme out and tells him to stop. But for Thyme, this is exactly what he wanted. He had been waiting for Gorya to show up. He slowly walks toward her and takes a razor from his friends. Then he puts Gorya in a terrible position, forcing her to choose. If she wants to save Hana, she has to sacrifice her own hair. Even so, Gorya does not back down. She takes the razor, still standing her ground, refusing to be intimidated. And just when it looks like she might actually go through with it, Ren suddenly shows up and stops everything. Thyme, clearly annoyed, has no choice but to walk away. Not long after that, F4 heads to the airport to welcome Meera back. The moment she arrives, Ren goes straight to her, showing how close they are. Back at school, something feels off. The same students who bullied Gorya suddenly start acting nice. They invite her to Meera's welcome party and pretend like nothing ever happened. But the truth is, they are just setting her up to be embarrassed again. Still, Gorya decides to go, bringing her best friend Caning along. At the party, the insults start almost immediately. People mock her appearance and make her feel completely out of place. It gets so uncomfortable that she decides to leave. But just as she is about to go, F4 arrives, forcing her to stay. So Gorya ends up sitting quietly by the pool, trying to stay out of trouble. That is when she notices Ren with Meera, looking close and almost romantic. Seeing that makes her feel something she did not expect: jealousy. At the same time, the same group of girls starts bothering her again. Watching from a distance, Thyme keeps an eye on everything. Before things get worse, Ren steps in and helps Gorya, giving her a handkerchief. Meera also notices what is happening, and she is clearly not happy about it. Without holding back, she throws beer at the girls and pushes them straight into the pool, shutting them down instantly. After that chaos, Meera steps in and brings Gorya to her room so she can change. Once Gorya comes back, everything feels different. She looks completely stunning, and people at the party cannot stop staring. Meera then introduces her to Ren, who is already waiting, clearly planning to dance with her. But not everyone is happy about this. Thyme, watching from the side, starts to feel jealous. He walks over and deliberately bumps into Ren, turning the moment awkward. Meera gets upset right away because Thyme is ruining her party. Things quickly escalate, and before anyone can stop it, Thyme pushes Meera. That is enough to set Ren off, and the two of them start fighting. Seeing this, Gorya rushes in to stop them. But in the middle of the chaos, she accidentally pushes Thyme, and somehow they end up kissing. Everything freezes for a second. Both of them panic, and so does everyone watching. Thyme gets embarrassed and immediately leaves, while Gorya just stands there, completely shocked, still processing what just happened. The next day, instead of being upset, Thyme actually looks happy. In his mind, that kiss means something, like Gorya might actually like him. Meanwhile, MJ and Kaven try to talk some sense into him and tell him to apologize to Ren, but Thyme refuses, still as stubborn as ever. At the same time, Ren is with Meera, quietly painting her while she sits nearby. During their time together, Meera reveals that she is planning to go back to France to continue her studies. That news clearly bothers Ren, even if he tries not to show it. Later on, Gorya goes to Meera's house to return the dress she borrowed. But while she is there, she accidentally overhears a serious argument between Meera and Ren about her leaving. It becomes clear that their relationship is not as perfect as it seems. The next morning, Gorya is waiting for the bus while scrolling through social media. People are already talking about Meera and Ren possibly breaking up. Then, out of nowhere, Thyme shows up and sits right next to her, casually wearing sunglasses. It feels weird seeing someone like him on a public bus, and Gorya immediately gets suspicious. The truth is, Thyme is just trying to get closer to her, even if it means doing something completely out of character. But instead of being impressed, Gorya gets annoyed. His presence is making things difficult for everyone else trying to use the bus, and she does not like that at all. What she does not know is that Thyme's older sister Tia has been following them the whole time. As Gorya tries to get off the bus, everything suddenly stops, because Tia blocks the road with her car. Taking the chance, Gorya quickly runs away. At the same time, Tia steps out and immediately stops Thyme from chasing her. Even though the situation is chaotic, Gorya cannot help but notice how cool and confident Tia is. Tia then brings Gorya into her car and introduces herself properly. She even mentions that Thyme has never chased a girl like this before, which makes the situation feel even more surprising. After that, Tia kindly has her driver take Gorya to school. Meanwhile, Tia turns her attention to Thyme. With a calm but serious tone, she talks to him about his behavior. She tells him to stop messing around and start thinking about their family business. Still, she also admits that he seems to have changed a bit lately, and she believes Gorya might be the reason behind that. Not long after that, everyone heads to the airport to send Meera off. Thyme, MJ, and Kaven are there, and Gorya also comes to say goodbye. She feels a little sad because Ren is nowhere to be seen. But just when it feels like he is not coming, Ren suddenly shows up, a bit late. Then he surprises everyone. Ren announces that he is going to France with Meera. Before leaving, he gently pats Gorya's head, kisses her, and thanks her. That moment hits hard, especially for Thyme, who is clearly irritated watching it happen. Ren does not even stop to talk and simply walks past. Thyme goes after him, feeling a mix of frustration and sadness. It bothers him that Ren is leaving without even telling F4 properly. Still, for the first time, Thyme actually apologizes to him. After that, things shift again. During break time at school, Thyme makes a bold move. He publicly announces that he has invited Gorya to meet him at the Ferris wheel in Asiatic on Saturday at 1 p.m. Gorya does not respond at all. She just quietly watches, unsure of what to do. When Saturday finally comes, Gorya decides not to go. Instead, she spends time shopping with Caning, trying to ignore everything. But then, by coincidence, she sees Thyme on a TV broadcast talking about a girl. As she listens, she cannot stop thinking about what he said. He admits that he is not the type to chase after anyone and that he hates waiting. But if someone is truly important to him, he is willing to change. Later, it starts raining heavily, and Gorya keeps checking the time over and over. By the time she realizes it, it is already late in the afternoon. That is when she suddenly runs toward the meeting place. When she arrives, she sees Thyme still standing there, alone in the rain, waiting. After that, Thyme ends up getting sick from standing in the rain for so long. Gorya feels bad and offers him a hot drink. At first, Thyme complains about it being cheap, but when she tries to take it back, he quickly grabs it and drinks it anyway. He then takes her out for a walk, treating it like a date, even though Gorya does not really see it that way. Not long after, a random bear mascot hands Gorya a flyer. Things get awkward when the mascot tries to hug her, and Thyme immediately gets annoyed and stops it. When he reads the flyer, he realizes it is advertising a romantic sunset date. So, without overthinking it, they follow the plan. But things do not go smoothly. Thyme ends up feeling sick and even throws up, which makes Gorya feel guilty. On top of that, they get stuck on the emergency stairs. It turns out Thyme has not eaten all day, which makes his condition worse. At one point, he tries to lean on Gorya, but she pushes him away, causing him to fall. Then she realizes he actually has a fever. Even though Thyme refuses at first because the medicine she has is cheap, Gorya insists and takes care of him anyway. She gives him the medicine, lets him rest his head on her lap, and keeps checking his temperature to make sure he is getting better. As she looks after him, Thyme just watches her, completely captivated by how much she cares. And in that quiet moment, he makes a promise. He says he will end the red card system at school for good. Hearing that, Gorya finally feels relieved and genuinely happy. The next day, they finally make it out of the emergency stairs. After that long night, Thyme walks Gorya home. Before leaving, he gently takes something off her head, getting a little too close and making her nervous. Then, as if nothing happened, he asks her out again. Gorya playfully turns him down, but the moment still lingers. However, once Gorya gets home, that small happiness disappears. She learns that her father is in serious trouble because of debt, and everything suddenly feels heavy again. Not long after, Gorya decides to face the problem herself. She meets the man her father owes money to and tries to negotiate. She offers to pay it back in installments, but the man has a different idea. He suggests that she work at his club to settle the debt. With no real choice, Gorya agrees, but only under one condition. No one is allowed to touch her. The next day at school, things take a shocking turn. Gorya's phone suddenly breaks and people start looking at her strangely. Confused, she follows their stares and discovers something awful. Photos of her working at the club have been spread all over the school. Before she can process it, Thyme arrives and sees everything. Gorya tries to explain the situation, hoping he will understand, but Thyme reacts emotionally. Instead of trusting her, he gets upset and lashes out. That hurts Gorya even more. She pushes him away, frustrated by his reaction. In the end, when Thyme demands the truth, Gorya admits everything, but instead of bringing them closer, it breaks something between them. Thyme feels betrayed, believing that the person he cared about is not who he thought she was. Left confused and overwhelmed, Gorya reaches out to Kaning and asks for help to figure out who is behind this. At the same time, Cavan starts to get suspicious. He does not want anyone thinking that F4 can be easily fooled. MJ agrees with him, and the two decide to look into it themselves. That evening, Gorya and Kaning try to investigate by going to the nightclub, but they are quickly kicked out. By coincidence, they run into Cavan there. Even though Cavan acts casual and pretends he is just there for fun, it is clear he is paying attention to everything. It is not the first time he has met Kaning either, since they crossed paths at Meera's party. He finds her interesting, but Kaning knows very well that Cavan has a reputation for flirting. Cavan tells them to go home, but once they leave, he starts digging deeper. Using his charm, he talks to people in the club, asking about security cameras and whether anyone knows Gorya. His actions do not go unnoticed, and soon the staff gets suspicious. Not long after, things escalate into a fight. Cavan handles himself easily, showing that he is more capable than he looks. Even the club owner steps in, but instead of getting angry, he lets it slide because Cavan is a valued customer. Meanwhile, somewhere else, Thyme is clearly not okay. MJ tries to cheer him up, but Thyme stays quiet and distant. Eventually, MJ gives him space but keeps an eye on him. That is when he notices someone unexpected nearby. It is Hana. Not long after, things take a darker turn. Hana approaches Thyme while he is surrounded by other girls. She casually gets them to leave, then gives Thyme a drink that has been mixed with sleeping medicine. Since Thyme is already a bit tipsy, he finishes it without thinking. Nearby, MJ is keeping an eye on them, but for a brief moment he gets distracted. When he looks back, both Hana and Thyme are gone, and that immediately makes him panic. At the same time, Gorya is staying over at Kaning's house. While scrolling through her phone, she suddenly comes across Hana's social media posts, and they include Thyme. That instantly catches her attention and pulls her focus away from whatever Kaning is saying. Kaning notices right away and gets annoyed when Gorya stops paying attention. But then she starts to realize something deeper is going on. She can tell Gorya is uneasy, so she asks what is really happening between her and Thyme. After hesitating for a bit, Gorya finally admits that she feels frustrated because Thyme did not trust her. Hearing that, Kanine quickly figures out the truth. Gorya is starting to develop feelings for him. Meanwhile, somewhere else, Hana has taken Thyme to a hotel room. She even takes control of his phone, acting way too obsessed with him. At one point, she almost crosses the line, but stops when she hears Thyme, even in his unconscious state, mention Gorya's name. That moment clearly upsets her. Back at Conning's place, Gorya cannot sleep at all. She keeps thinking about everything, feeling restless and uneasy. The next day at school, things escalate again. Gorya finds her chair vandalized, and even though Hana is the one behind it, the blame is pushed onto someone else. The situation spreads quickly through the school chat, and students start planning to gang up on Gorya. When Gorya arrives at school on Conning's motorcycle, she tries to protect it, knowing it might become a target. But no matter what she does, it still gets damaged. That becomes the final straw. This time, Gorya stops holding back and fights back against the bullies. At the same time, Thyme slowly wakes up, still half-conscious and confused. He has no idea where he is at first, but then Gorya is the first thing that comes to his mind. Not long after, Hana appears again and tries to get close to him, even telling him to forget about Gorya. But Thyme clearly feels uncomfortable and pulls away, immediately trying to find his phone. That is when Hana finally reveals the truth about herself. Back in elementary school, she had feelings for Thyme, but he rejected her because she did not feel attractive enough. Since then, she became completely obsessed with him. She collected everything about him, every article, every detail, and even went as far as changing her appearance just to become someone he would notice. Everything she has done up until now has been part of that plan. Later on, Hana finally reveals everything. It turns out she was the one who spilled food on Thyme's shoes on purpose, just to get closer to him. But things did not go the way she planned. Instead of her, Gorya ended up catching Thyme's attention. That is what made Hana jealous and pushed her to ruin Gorya. Her obsession runs even deeper. She admits that she was so desperate to win Thyme's love that she even threatened to hurt herself if she could not become beautiful. At one point, things got so intense that Thyme ended up injuring his own hand because of her actions. Even so, he still tried to give her some advice back then. After checking his phone and seeing what really happened, Thyme is shocked. He immediately rushes to school. At the same time, Gorya is already dealing with another crisis. Someone is about to set fire to Koning's motorcycle, and she is yelling in frustration, trying to stop it. Just when everything feels out of control, Thyme suddenly shows up. He steps in and shuts everything down, forcing everyone to leave. Gorya, exhausted from everything, almost collapses, but Thyme catches her just in time and holds her carefully. This time, things feel different. Thyme finally apologizes to Gorya for not trusting her and for hurting her. Hearing that, Gorya cannot hold it in anymore. She breaks down and hugs him tightly, her tears soaking into his clothes. After that, Thyme quietly takes her to his house and asks for a first aid kit. As they take care of each other's injuries, Thyme gently touches her cheek and keeps apologizing. He knows that everything she went through was because of him, and he truly regrets it. Seeing this side of him, Gorya starts to smile, realizing that he is really changing. After such a long and exhausting day, Gorya ends up falling asleep. Thyme lets her rest on his leg and just watches her. In that quiet moment, he finally admits his feelings and confesses his love to her while she is still asleep. The next morning, Gorya wakes up to something completely unexpected. Everything has already been prepared for her, from a school uniform to new shoes, and even several motorcycles for her to choose from. When she calls Thyme to ask what is going on, he casually tells her to just pick one. But when she cannot decide, he simply tells her to take all of them, like it is no big deal. Later, Thyme explains that he is handling the situation caused by Hana and making sure the people who hurt Gorya are dealt with. The following day, Gorya tries to talk to Hana, hoping to clear things up, but Hana refuses to listen and walks away. Gorya looks disappointed, and Thyme notices it right away. Then, in front of everyone at the cafeteria, Thyme does something unexpected. He openly declares that Gorya is his girlfriend and warns everyone not to mess with her anymore. The entire school is shocked, including Gorya herself, and right at that moment, Ren suddenly returns from France. Seeing the two of them together makes things feel even more complicated. Later on, Gorya goes to the rooftop to return Ren's handkerchief, but before she can even process it, Ren appears behind her, which catches her off guard. He seems different now, no longer just quietly sketching like before, but more distracted and distant. Feeling nervous, Gorya quickly gives back the handkerchief and leaves. That evening, they run into each other again near one of Meera's advertisements. They start talking, and Gorya becomes curious about his time in France and what really happened between him and Meera. Ren tries to act like everything is fine, but something about him feels off. He admits that he has changed, and that alone unsettles Gorya. Caught in the moment, she ends up running away, and without realizing it, she leaves her phone behind. Back at home, Gorya cannot stop thinking about how different Ren has become. The way he acts now feels completely unfamiliar, and it starts to stress her out. Then suddenly, Thyme video calls her using her brother's phone. Gorya admits that she left her phone behind, trying to explain what happened. As time goes on, it becomes clearer that Ren has really changed after coming back from France. He is no longer calm and distant like before. Instead, he seems moody, unpredictable, and even a bit flirtatious. At one point, Thyme goes to Ren for advice about what to wear on a zoo date. Ren laughs it off and agrees to help him pick something the next day. But while they are talking, Thyme accidentally finds Gorya's phone on Ren's chair. Ren explains that she must have dropped it when they met earlier. Later on, Ren receives a package from Meera. Inside is the sketchbook he left behind. But when he reads the note she included, his expression changes. Meera wishes for him to move on and find someone better, which clearly hurts him more than he expected. The next day at school, Gorya feels lost without her phone, and people around her are whispering about something. She soon finds out that Meera is rumored to have a new boyfriend in France, and that immediately makes her worry about Ren. Without wasting time, Gorya rushes up to the rooftop and finds him there, looking upset. She apologizes for not understanding what he was going through and for encouraging him to keep chasing Meera. Ren finally opens up a little. He admits that his world and Meera's world are too different, and sometimes loving someone does not mean they are meant to be together. It is a painful realization, but he has decided to let her go and move on. Hearing that, Gorya cannot hold back her tears. Ren comforts her with a gentle smile and pulls her into a hug, but that moment does not go unseen. From a distance, Thyme witnesses everything. Seeing Gorya in Ren's arms fills him with jealousy and anger. Instead of facing it directly, he ends up taking it out on other students who have nothing to do with the situation. The noise quickly draws attention, and Gorya and Ren rush over to see what is happening. When Gorya tries to calm Thyme down, things only get worse. In a sudden burst of emotion, Thyme makes a shocking decision. He kicks Ren out of F4. Kevin and MJ are left completely confused, at not understanding how things escalated this far. Thyme then walks away without looking back. Gorya tries to talk to him, but he feels too hurt and betrayed. He harshly returns her phone and refuses to listen. In the end, Gorya admits the truth. She lied about where she left her phone. But instead of fixing things, it only makes Thyme angrier. In his eyes, she chose Ren over him. He becomes so overwhelmed that he almost raises his hand at her, which terrifies Gorya. Thankfully, he stops himself at the last second. Even so, the damage is already done. With a heavy heart, Thyme starts to accept what he believes is the truth, that Gorya will never choose him. The next day, Thyme completely shuts himself off from the world. He stays locked in his room, holding onto Gorya's pink towel like it is the only thing keeping him connected to her. But that quiet moment does not last long. His mother suddenly walks in and makes it clear how disappointed she is. In her eyes, ever since Gorya came into his life, Thyme has only been causing trouble and losing her trust. Meanwhile, Ren goes to Kaning's flower shop and asks Gorya to go for a walk. For a moment, things feel light again, and they actually enjoy their time together. Back at Thyme's house, Kevin and MJ try to comfort him. They explain that Ren has been going through a lot because of Meera, but Thyme refuses to listen. He is too hurt to care. Eventually, Ren asks Thyme to meet him at the school stadium. What starts as a conversation quickly turns into a fight. The two of them end up hurting each other, both physically and emotionally. During the fight, Ren pushes things further by bringing up Gorya, and that is when Thyme finally breaks. In that moment, he admits the truth. He truly loves Gorya. After everything comes out, the tension between them fades, and they finally make up. Not long after, Gorya arrives, and Ren encourages her to be honest about her feelings too. In that quiet moment, Thyme gently strokes her head and pulls her into a hug. For once, Gorya looks genuinely happy. The next day, Thyme does not hold back anymore. He keeps sending Gorya messages, acting like they are officially together. But when Gorya gets home, she walks into something completely unexpected. Thyme's mother is already there waiting. Rosalyn wastes no time. She insults Gorya's home, looking down on everything about her life. She assumes that Gorya only got close to Thyme for money and a better future. Then she tells Gorya to leave her son alone. This time, Gorya's mother cannot stay silent. She gets furious, throws water at Rosalyn, and forces her out of the house. But before leaving, Rosalyn makes one thing clear. No matter what Gorya does, she will never be good enough for her son. After she leaves, another problem hits. Gorya's father reveals that his company has gone bankrupt. They no longer have enough money to stay in the city. With no other choice, the family decides to move back to their hometown and start over with a simple life. At the same time, F4 is out on Ren's yacht, celebrating their friendship again. But even in that moment, Thyme cannot relax. Gorya has not replied to any of his messages, and it keeps bothering him. Days pass, and Thyme keeps searching for her. He checks her classroom, calls her, goes to her house, and even leaves a letter at Conning's flower shop. But Gorya is nowhere to be found. Instead, she is busy working to support her family, trying her best to stay away from Thyme. Exhausted from everything, she ends up dropping the letter without even noticing it. Elsewhere, Conning finally tells Cavan everything that has been happening to Gorya. He is shocked because he had no idea. After hearing about Rosalyn's threats and Gorya's situation, Cavan starts to suspect that Gorya's father losing his job was not a coincidence. When this reaches Thyme, he is furious. For the first time, he directly confronts his mother and challenges her. He makes it clear that he will fix the damage she caused and help Gorya's family recover. Not long after, Thyme takes action in his own way. He buys a house near Gorya's new place and shows it to her, smiling like nothing can stop him. For him, being close to her is all that matters now. He also lets her know that he finally understands everything she has been going through. The next day, Gorya receives a package from Tia. Inside are beautiful dresses and an invitation to a birthday party. Even though everything looks fancy, Gorya cannot feel excited. Rosalyn's harsh words are still stuck in her mind. Still, she decides to go. She wears one of the dresses and even brings a cake she made herself. But the moment she arrives, things feel tense. Rosalyn is there watching her closely. Ren, Cavan, and MJ all notice it too, and they cannot help but feel worried for Gorya. Ren steps in and suggests that she should go talk to Thyme, but Gorya refuses at first. That is until Ren suddenly pulls her into the spotlight, forcing the moment. When Thyme sees her, his face lights up. He leaves his guests behind and walks straight toward Gorya, clearly happy to see her. As he gets closer, Gorya starts to feel shy again. For a brief moment, it feels like things might be okay. But then, everything gets interrupted. Out of nowhere, a girl runs into the scene and accidentally crashes into Gorya. The whole party goes silent. That is when Rosalyn drops the bomb. The girl is introduced as Thyme's fiancée. Her name is Lita. Everyone is shocked, including Thyme. He immediately gets angry at his mother for setting this up. The situation turns chaotic fast. MJ tries to help by tossing Thyme his car keys so he can leave with Gorya. But in all the confusion, Thyme grabs the wrong hand and ends up taking Lita instead. That only makes things worse, and it leads to an argument between them. Meanwhile, Rosalyn continues to humiliate Gorya in front of everyone, making Lita look superior on purpose. Ren, seeing how hurt Gorya is, steps in to comfort her and reminds her not to let Rosalyn's words control her feelings. The next day, Gorya returns home and finds something unexpected. Thyme has prepared lunch for her. He looks exhausted and admits that the arranged marriage is stressing him out. He even reaches a point where he feels completely lost. Seeing him like that, Gorya quietly takes care of him and gives him a band-aid for his wound. At the same time, Cavan, MJ, and Ren are all worried about how fast everything is moving with the arranged marriage. Not long after, Thyme tells Ren that he will be busy handling work and asks him to look after Gorya. Meanwhile, Gorya and Lita end up spending time together and even go shopping. Later on, Lita visits Gorya's house and tries to understand her relationship with Thyme. Gorya keeps it simple and says they are just friends. But things get awkward when Thyme suddenly shows up, excited to see Gorya, which leads to tension between him and Lita again. The next day, Lita leaves after staying the night, while Thyme throws himself into work. When Gorya visits him, he suddenly hugs her and asks her to be patient. He gently pats her head before leaving again. That is when Gorya starts to realize something. They are slowly drifting apart. Around the same time, big news spreads about the death of Thailand's top businessman. This changes the entire business world. By coincidence, Gorya and Conning get part-time jobs helping prepare for the funeral. But something feels off. The event does not look like a normal funeral at all. Later, Kavan explains that it is actually part of a business strategy, not just a ceremony. During the event, Gorya and Ren notice Thyme arriving with Lita. Seeing them together like that hits Gorya hard. In that moment, she starts to feel like she might not belong in Thyme's world after all. Long story short, Thyme tries to talk to Gorya, but things do not go as planned. Instead, he notices that Lita has hurt her leg, and without thinking much, he uses the bandage that Gorya gave him before to help Lita. That small moment says a lot, and Lita clearly appreciates it. Gorya feels lost and deep in thought. Ren comes to her and gently points out something important. He tells her that right now she should be thinking about Lita's feelings, not just her own or Thyme's. Hearing that, Gorya starts to understand. Later on, Gorya and Lita finally talk properly. Lita opens up about how she feels. At first, she was not interested in Thyme at all, even after seeing him on TV. But after getting to know him, she realized he was actually a good person. She believes that one day he might be able to love her. And as she says all of this, she is still holding the bandage he gave her, which makes everything hurt even more for Gorya. The following day, Gorya is surprised to find Thyme still waiting for her, wearing the same clothes as before. But by this point, something inside Gorya has already changed. She forces herself to smile and even says that Thyme and Lita look good together. That confuses Thyme completely. Then Gorya finally says what she has been holding back. She tells him that he should be with the right person, and that person is Lita. She points out the difference between their worlds and asks him to see reality clearly. Thyme tries to remind her of everything they have been through together, but Gorya cannot hold back her tears anymore. In the end, she decides that they cannot be together. That same evening, Thyme goes to Lita's house, and in a surprising move, he chooses to move forward in a different way. He confesses to Lita and asks her to be with him, promising to try and open his heart. Not long after, Lita goes straight to Gorya and tells her the news. Gorya smiles and acts happy for them, but deep down, it clearly hurts. As time passes, the distance between Gorya and Thyme becomes more obvious. MJ, Kavan, and Ren all notice it, and Ren starts to worry about Gorya. He finds her on the rooftop, looking down and trying to stay strong. To distract herself, Gorya asks Ren to help her study. Later in the library, she notices a poster about a school dance, and suddenly everyone starts rushing outside. That is when Thyme shows up at school with Lita. At first, it just feels awkward, but then things get worse. Right in front of everyone, Lita kisses Thyme. The moment hits Gorya hard. She tries to stay calm, but the jealousy and sadness are obvious. She quietly walks back to the library, but even there, she cannot escape the trouble. Some girls start bothering her again. Luckily, a student named Thyme steps in and helps her. From a distance, Ren notices this interaction and starts to feel suspicious. Something about Thyme does not feel right. Later, Ren sees him talking with a group of students, and their faces seem familiar, like there is something more going on. Ren decides to secretly take photos, trying to figure out who they really are. Meanwhile, Gorya spends more time with Thyme. At one point, Thyme notices that Thyme is following them and tells Gorya to report him. He then steps in and makes Thyme look like the bad guy right in front of her. Thyme, however, senses that something is off and tries to explain that Thyme might be planning something. But before he can say more, Gorya arrives and shuts him down. This time she chooses to trust Thyme over him. That decision hits Thyme hard. In his frustration, he assumes the worst and thinks Gorya has moved on. He says things he should not have said, and that pushes Gorya over the edge. She slaps him and tells him to leave and stay away from her. Before walking off, Thyme warns her that getting close to Thyme will only lead to regret. The next day, things take a dangerous turn. Gorya finds another red card in her locker, which means the nightmare starts all over again. Students begin targeting her and chaos spreads quickly. This time, Thyme suddenly steps in and acts like a hero, trying to protect her. But something feels off. Behind the scenes, Thyme is actually manipulating everything. He spreads false stories about Thyme, making Gorya doubt him even more. Then, he leads her straight into a trap. Gorya ends up locked in a place with students who are ready to hurt her. At the same time, some of the girls who used to bully Gorya start to feel suspicious. They notice that Thyme has stopped using the red card system, which makes them question what is really going on. Elsewhere, MJ and Kavan are busy preparing for the school dance, when Ren suddenly shows them a photo of Thyme. Ren has a bad feeling about him, and suspects that he is leading a group against F4. He asks MJ to investigate while he tries to contact Gorya, but her phone is not working. Realizing something is wrong, Ren does not wait any longer and rushes out to find her. Meanwhile, Gorya is already in serious danger. She is dragged to the old stadium and starts getting attacked. Desperate, she tries to reach out to Thyme, hoping he will help her, but he never shows up. Instead, she is pushed hard and hits a pole, losing consciousness. Just in time, Ren arrives. He rushes to her side, holding her tightly while glaring at everyone around him. It is clear he is furious. Not long after, Cavan calls, and Ren quickly tells him that Gorya has received another red card. Cavan is shocked and immediately tells MJ to check the school's security cameras. Ren then carries Gorya away, trying to get her somewhere safe. But before he can leave, Cavan calls again with bad news. The security footage has been tampered with. Just as Cavan is about to reveal who is behind everything, Ren is suddenly attacked from behind. Thyme knocks him out. With Ren down, Thyme takes Gorya hostage and sends a photo of her to Thyme. At that moment, Thyme is with Lita, but everything changes when he sees the message. Thyme threatens him, demanding that he come alone if he wants to save Gorya. Without hesitation, Thyme leaves immediately. When he arrives, he walks straight into a trap. A group of anti-F4 students surrounds him and starts beating him without holding back. Thyme watches it all, satisfied, finally getting the revenge he has been waiting for. Gorya, even in that situation, tries to reason with him. She reminds him of Pufa, the student who suffered at the beginning, and says that this is not what he would have wanted. But it does not stop anything. One of the students pushes Gorya, making her fall again, while Thyme continues attacking Thyme. Just as things reach their worst and Thyme is about to strike Thyme with a chair, Gorya manages to break free. Without thinking, she runs toward Thyme and shields him. She takes the hit for him. Long story short, Gorya wakes up after being unconscious for days. The first thing on her mind is Thyme. She asks Conning about him, but Conning stays quiet, which only makes Gorya more worried. Without waiting, she rushes to find him. When she enters his room, everything feels heavy and quiet. Thyme is lying there, covered in white, and for a second it looks like she has lost him. Gorya breaks down. She finally lets out everything she has been holding in and confesses how much she loves him. But just when it feels like the worst has happened, Thyme suddenly wakes up. Hearing her feelings makes him genuinely happy. Gorya, still emotional, gets a little annoyed at the timing and lightly hits him, trying to hide how overwhelmed she is. Outside the room, Lita is standing there with flowers, planning to visit Thyme. But when she hears laughter from inside, she stops. Realizing what it means, she quietly leaves, heartbroken. Not long after, Ren updates Thyme about Pufa's condition. But before things can settle, Thyme shows up again. He reveals that he secretly recorded Thyme's confession and plans to upload it as part of his revenge. This time, Thyme does not hesitate. He calls his people, takes the lie's phone, and even challenges him directly. Instead of backing down, Thyme is ready to face everything and take responsibility if needed. Later that evening, Gorya is suddenly taken to Thyme's house. When Thyme finds out how she got there, he immediately scolds his men for bringing her like that. Then he explains everything. The situation with Thyme has already been handled, and he has even apologized to Pupa. Hearing that, Gorya finally feels relieved, like things are starting to calm down. After that, Thyme takes her outside to watch the sky. In that quiet moment, he surprises her with something special, a necklace he made himself. Once again, he asks her to be his girlfriend. But Gorya hesitates. She knows he is still involved with Lita, and she cannot ignore that. Thyme understands and promises that he will properly end things with Lita first. He asks her to keep the necklace until the day he can come back and confess again. For a moment, things feel light again. They joke around, laugh, and accidentally break a vase. But that moment does not last long. Lita suddenly arrives and sees them together. She is clearly upset and demands answers. Luckily, Yi Prat steps in just in time and smooths things over by saying that Gorya is working there as Thyme's personal maid. The next day, Gorya really does start working in the house. Thyme stays close to her, always finding excuses to be around. One day, when she hurts her hand while working, Thyme immediately rushes to help. But Gorya pulls away. She remembers how Lita reacted, and she does not want to make things worse. Later that evening, Thyme tries to talk to his mother, but Gorya suddenly appears. He thinks she came to talk, but she is actually just doing her job, setting up dinner. For a moment, they joke around again like before. Then Lita shows up. This time, she does not hold back. She openly looks down on Gorya, calling her just a servant. She even says that Rosalyn has allowed her to live there and makes it clear that Gorya does not belong. Seeing this, Yi Prat quietly helps Gorya leave for a while. Meanwhile, Lita finally lets all her emotions out. She is desperate to win Thyme's love and tries everything to get his attention. But no matter what she does, Thyme does not respond the way she hopes. In the end, he simply covers her with a blanket and avoids looking at her, even as she breaks down in front of him. No matter how hard she tries, his heart is somewhere else. The next day, things finally start to shift. Lita meets with her parents and Thyme to talk about their wedding plans. Everything seems formal at first, but Thyme clearly has something serious on his mind. Before he can even say it, Lita senses where the conversation is going. So she steps in first. She decides to cancel the engagement. Lita admits that she does not love Thyme and feels that they are not right for each other. She also realizes that she wants a fresh start, one where she can focus on herself and chase her dream of going to South Korea. After everything that happened, Lita and Gorya meet one last time. They hug and apologize to each other, finally letting go of the tension between them. But just as Gorya pulls away, she notices something strange. Thyme is gone. Suddenly, MJ shows up, quickly pulls Gorya into a car, and explains that Thyme has been missing since morning. It turns out he has been taken away by F4 as part of their own chaotic way of dealing with things. In that moment, when Gorya finally sees him again, Thyme once again asks her to be his girlfriend. This time, she says yes. Just like that, their relationship finally comes back together. Meanwhile, far away in Singapore, Rosalyn hears the news about the cancelled engagement. It is clear that things are not going the way she planned. The next day, Thyme has a dream about Gorya that leaves him smiling when he wakes up. But Gorya quickly brings him back to reality, making things a little awkward in her usual playful way. Not long after, Thyme is hanging out with the rest of F4. But something feels off. Kevin looks distracted, clearly dealing with his own situation involving caning. At the same time, Thyme starts to realize that his relationship with Gorya is not progressing like a normal couple. So the group comes up with a plan. They decide to organize a surprise party, hoping it will help Gorya open up and bring the two of them closer. Later that evening, Thyme gets on a video call with Ren and MJ to plan a surprise party for Gorya. Everything seems under control, and they are excited about it. What they do not realize is that Gorya is actually nearby. But instead of overhearing their plan, her mind is somewhere else. She is too busy thinking about caning and the problems she has been having with Kevin. Kevin, who used to be known as a total playboy, has completely changed. He has fallen seriously in love with Koning, and that change is not easy for him to handle. Thyme even ends up telling Gorya more about Kevin's past, which only makes things more complicated. The next day, Gorya hears something worrying. There is no news about Koning. She starts to panic and tries to contact her, but cannot reach her at all. Just then, MJ suddenly shows up and takes Gorya to the swimming pool, where Thyme has prepared the surprise party. But the timing is completely off. Instead of enjoying the moment, Gorya is distracted and anxious about Koning. The whole surprise ends up falling flat. Not long after, Gorya finally gets a call from Koning and decides to leave immediately. This frustrates Thyme. He feels like Gorya is too involved in someone else's problem and not focusing on their relationship. From his point of view, Koning probably wants to handle things on her own, and the situation clearly has something to do with Kevin. Thyme even mentions that he has already talked to Kevin about it. Eventually, things calm down. Kevin and Koning manage to resolve their issues, and everything starts to feel normal again. The group heads home, leaving Thyme and Gorya with some time alone. Kevin drops Koning off, MJ rides off on his motorbike, and Ren is the last to leave. But as he walks away, something catches his attention. There are too many cars passing by Thyme's house, and it does not feel right. Meanwhile, inside the house, Thyme and Gorya are sharing a quiet moment together. It is Gorya's last day working there, and the mood feels different. Thyme admits that he is still a little upset about the failed surprise, but he promises to do better and create even more moments for her in the future. Gorya smiles and hints that she also has a surprise. Then, without warning, she kisses him. The moment quickly turns emotional, and they get lost in it, holding on to each other like they do not want to let go. But that peace does not last. After leaving Thyme's house, Gorya notices Ren standing outside her place. His expression is serious, and he immediately tells her to leave. Confused, Gorya looks ahead and sees something terrifying. Her house is being destroyed. She freezes, unable to process what is happening. Fear takes over, and she runs forward, trying to stop it, tears already falling. At the same time, Thyme gets a call from Yi Prat. The truth hits him hard. His mother is behind everything. Not long after, Gorya receives a call from Rosalyn. She calmly asks to meet and settle things. Before Gorya can respond, Thyme arrives and takes the phone. He confronts his mother directly, telling her that she has gone too far and is ruining people's lives without any regret. But Rosalyn stays cold. To her, this is nothing more than a game. And this time, she says she has just given Gorya another red card. The next day, Gorya opens up to Conning and her dad about everything. She explains that Rosalyn wants her to break up with Thyme. But this time, Gorya makes up her mind. She is not giving up on their love. Seeing how determined she is, Conning's dad offers her a temporary place to stay. Not long after, Thyme and the rest of F4 show up, bringing furniture and everything she needs to settle in. That afternoon, Thyme and Gorya spend time together, supporting each other and getting lost in a sweet moment. But of course, it does not stay private for long. The other F4 members show up and start teasing them, breaking the mood. Meanwhile, back at Thyme's house, Rosalyn takes action. She fires Yiprat, believing she has been helping Thyme and Gorya stay together. At the same time, Thyme is helping Gorya at Kaning's flower shop. Then suddenly, Yiprat calls him and delivers more bad news. He has been fired, and it does not stop there. Rosalyn blocks all of Thyme's accounts, cutting him off completely. Now, he cannot even support Gorya financially. Seeing all of this, Gorya feels crushed. People around her are suffering because of Rosalyn's actions. She even finds out that Conning's dad has lost his job because of the same reason. That becomes the final push. Gorya decides to face Rosalyn directly. When they meet, Gorya first says she is willing to leave Thyme's life, but then she asks for something in return. She wants Rosalyn to stop hurting the people she cares about and give them their lives back. She also points out that even if she leaves, Thyme will still end up winning in the end. Then Rosalyn reveals something shocking. She shows Gorya medical results and claims that she has terminal cancer. She says she will not live much longer and begins to cry, asking Gorya for one last favor. She wants Thyme to go back to his old self, cold and focused, for the sake of their family's business. Rosalyn knows exactly how to play this. She targets Gorya's kindness, making her feel guilty and responsible. In reality, it is all part of her plan, but Gorya does not realize that. The conversation ends with a hug, and Gorya walks away believing everything. After that, Gorya calls Thyme and asks to meet at the place where they had their first date. Something about her feels different, and Thyme notices it right away. But Gorya brushes it off and says everything is fine. She even tells him that she already talked to Rosalyn and that the problem is solved. Then, as the sky turns dark and rain starts to fall, Gorya drops the truth. She wants to end their relationship. At first, Thyme refuses to believe it. He thinks she is being forced by his mother, but Gorya denies it. Instead, she says something that hurts even more. She claims that she accepted money from Rosalyn and that she was only pretending to care about him from the beginning. Thyme cannot accept that. He refuses to believe she would do something like that. But then Gorya takes off the necklace he gave her and returns it. Even though it breaks her inside, she forces herself to keep going. Her tears fall harder as she lets the necklace slip from her hand and disappear into the drain. The next day, Conning is shocked to find out that Gorya is gone. She quickly tells Kavan. Meanwhile, Gorya is already on a train, crying as she holds onto the memory of everything she left behind. At the same time, Rosalyn quietly covers up her lies while Thyme prepares to leave for Singapore to focus on his future. A year passes, and everything feels different. Back at school, MJ and Kavan have become even more popular. Meanwhile, Ren has not stopped searching for Gorya. He travels from place to place, visiting villages and asking people if they have seen her. At the same time, Thyme has completely changed. He is now the deputy CEO of his mother's company, handling business in Singapore. He looks more mature, more serious, and a lot colder. Even Tia notices it. She cannot stand seeing him slowly turn into someone just like Rosalyn. She misses the old Thyme, the one who used to smile more when he was with Gorya. One day, Ren gets a call from MJ, and they catch up briefly. But something unexpected happens. Ren sees Gorya on TV. Without wasting a second, he flies straight to Singapore to find Thyme. When they meet, Ren tells him everything. He explains that he has finally found Gorya, and even knows where she has been all this time. For the past year, Gorya has been living quietly in a village, staying away from social media and keeping a low profile. Ren also shows proof that her life has not been easy, but Thyme does not react the way Ren expected. He shuts everything down. He refuses to hear anything about Gorya. In his mind, she already made her choice when she accepted money from his mother. As far as he is concerned, his life now has nothing to do with her anymore. Ren tries to make him see the truth. If Gorya really took that money, she would not be struggling like this. But no matter what Ren says, Thyme refuses to listen and tells him to leave. Frustrated, Ren loses his patience. He confronts Thyme and forces him to face reality, then walks away. Meanwhile, Gorya is living a completely different life. She comes home from the market one day only to find debt collectors waiting at her house. They demand payment and even try to take her family's belongings. In that moment, Gorya remembers the necklace Thyme gave her and imagines him being there to protect her, just like before. But it is only in her head. Reality hits hard, and she is brought back by her brother's voice. Then suddenly Ren appears. Without hesitation, he steps in and claims to be Gorya's boyfriend. He offers to pay off the family's debt, which is a huge amount. Gorya's parents are overwhelmed with gratitude and even suggest giving their house as repayment. Later on, Gorya brings Ren a drink, still trying to process everything. Back in the city, Rosalyn is dealing with her own frustration. She is angry because Thyme has skipped an important meeting. Meanwhile, Thyme is alone, throwing away photos of Gorya that Ren left behind, trying to erase her from his life. At the same time, Ren sits by the sea, quietly sketching Gorya like he always used to. Not long after, Gorya's brother approaches him and shares how difficult things have been for Gorya over the past year. That evening, Gorya looks for Ren but cannot find him anywhere in his room. Just as she starts to worry, Ren calls and asks her to meet him at a bridge. At the same time, something unexpected happens. Thyme gets taken away by someone. When Gorya finally meets Ren, he does not explain things right away. Instead, he shows her a video and tells her to watch it until the end, because it holds the answers she has been looking for. As the video plays, everything starts to make sense. Thyme is seen tied up, with Cavan and MJ standing in front of him. They are not hurting him, they are trying to wake him up. They remind him that his decisions have been shaped by his mother, and that fear has been controlling him, especially the fear of betrayal. They tell him to trust himself again, to believe in love, and to follow his own path instead of living under Rosalyn's shadow. Ren, MJ, and Cavan make it clear that they are all on his side. That moment hits Thyme hard. For the first time in a long while, he breaks down. He wonders if he still has a chance to fix everything and make his dreams come true. And deep inside, he admits that he has never stopped thinking about Gorya. Watching all of this, Gorya cannot hold back her tears anymore. Then Ren reveals something even bigger. He tells her about the story of Rosalyn having cancer and immediately clears it up. It was all a lie. He knows for sure because his family's hospital handles treatment for all F4 families. If Rosalyn were really sick, he would have known. Realizing she has been deceived this whole time, Gorya feels a mix of shock and relief. Without hesitation, she asks Ren to go back to Bangkok right away. The next day, Gorya, Ren, MJ, and Cavan head to Thyme's office to meet him. They cannot enter through the main door, so they look for another way in. Inside, Thyme is presenting his business plan. At first, the room is silent and no one reacts. It looks like things are about to go wrong again, and Rosalyn is ready to step in. But then, one investor finally agrees with Thyme. Slowly, the others follow. For the first time, Thyme's effort is recognized, and he feels genuinely happy. At that exact moment, he receives a message from Cavan saying that Gorya is in the building. Tia immediately tells him to go. Excited and full of hope, Thyme rushes out to see her. But as he runs, he accidentally bumps into a man. That man turns out to be dangerous. He holds a grudge against Rosalyn after being fired and is looking for revenge. Without thinking, Thyme steps in front of his mother and takes the hit meant for her. Everything changes in an instant. Tia and Rosalyn panic and rush Thyme to the hospital. His condition is critical. He has lost a lot of blood, and his heart stops, cutting off oxygen to his brain. Tia completely loses it. She is furious at her mother, blaming her for everything that has happened. She tries to make Rosalyn see the damage she has caused, hoping this will finally change her. But even in that moment, Rosalyn shows no regret. The next day, Thyme is still in a coma. Gorya waits quietly at Kaning's place, holding on to hope that he will wake up. Ren stays by her side, supporting her through it all. Not long after, Cavan calls with an update. Thyme has finally woken up. But there is a problem. He is being heavily guarded by Rosalyn's bodyguards, so no one can get close to him. Inside the hospital, things are not going well. Rosalyn gets angry at the doctor when she hears that Thyme is not fully recovering. Because of a brain injury, he has lost his memory of the past 4 years. Tia tries to calm her down, saying that the most important thing is that he is still alive. She even suggests that this could be a chance for Thyme to start over. But instead of seeing it as hope, Rosalyn sees it as an opportunity. She decides to test his memory. When she shows him photos of Ren, MJ, and Cavan, Thyme recognizes them without any problem. But when it comes to Gorya, there is nothing. He does not remember her at all. Tia immediately calls out her mother for taking advantage of the situation, but Rosalyn shuts her down and orders the guards to remove her from the room. Not long after Gorya arrives, she tries to talk to Thyme, but the moment he hears her voice, he gets a sudden headache. Still, she pushes forward and tries to reach him, but Thyme tells her to leave. Right after that, Tia runs to Gorya and hugs her, explaining everything. She reveals that Rosalyn is using this situation to erase Gorya completely from Thyme's life. Everything connected to her has been removed. His phone, his computer, everything. Even Yi Prat is not allowed to see him anymore. The same goes for the rest of F4. Realizing how serious things are, Ren, MJ, and Kevin team up with Gorya to come up with a plan. They decide to try and bring back Thyme's memory while Rosalyn is away. But at the same time, Rosalyn is already taking steps of her own. She secretly gets rid of Thyme's medicine, making sure he does not recover his memories. When Rosalyn leaves for work, Yi Prat quickly informs the others. The guards outside Thyme's room are taken care of, giving them a small window of opportunity. As Thyme steps out of his room, he notices something strange. Suddenly, Gorya appears and covers his mouth, stopping him from calling for help. She starts reminding him of everything they went through together. She talks about their moments, shows him photos, and even brings up their chats. But nothing works. Instead, Thyme reacts coldly. He pushes her away, calls for the guards, and even insults her, calling her a loser. That crosses the line. Gorya gets frustrated and kicks him, just like she did in the past. And in that instant, something shifts. For a brief moment, Thyme starts to remember. His head begins to hurt, like pieces of the past are trying to come back. But before anything can fully return, Rosalyn storms in. She grabs Gorya and throws her out, furious that she dared to come back and disturb Thyme. Gorya, still determined, pushes back with her words, saying that Rosalyn never truly loved her own son. That hits a nerve. Rosalyn loses control and slaps Gorya, then orders her to leave immediately. Meanwhile, Ren, MJ, and Kevin wait anxiously for news from Gorya about their plan. That night, heavy rain pours down, but Gorya refuses to leave the gate of Thyme's house. She just stands there, soaking wet, holding on to her determination. Eventually, Rosalyn notices. Curious and slightly moved, she walks out to face Gorya in the rain. She cannot understand why Gorya would go this far. Even then, Rosalyn still refuses to let her in. But Gorya is not there to see Thyme. She is there to talk to Rosalyn. In that moment, Gorya says something that hits deeper than anything before. She realizes that Rosalyn has spent her whole life working for Thyme, believing that everything she does is for his future. But in doing that, she forgot something important. Thyme's happiness. Gorya makes it clear that she does not care if she never sees Thyme again. All she wants is for him to be happy and able to smile. Suddenly, Thyme appears. He hears everything, but instead of understanding, he reacts coldly. He tells Gorya to stop and leave, unable to accept what she is saying. Still, before walking away, Gorya declares that she will always love him. Rosalyn watches all of this in silence. For the first time, she starts to question herself. She begins to realize that maybe she has been wrong all along. As Thyme walks away, something catches his eye. It is the necklace Gorya dropped. He picks it up and something about it feels familiar. Rosalyn notices his reaction and quietly orders the gate to be opened. In that small moment, her expression softens. Thyme runs after Gorya and asks about the necklace. Gorya tells him the truth, that they were once in love, but Thyme still cannot fully accept it. He insists that he has never had a girlfriend. Then suddenly the pain hits again. His head starts to ache and his body weakens. Gorya quickly steps in to help him, just like she always did before. As she takes care of him, something finally clicks. The memories come back. Thyme remembers everything. At the same time, Ren, MJ, and Kevin hear the news and celebrate. Their plan has finally worked. A few days later, things feel lighter again. Thyme gives Gorya a beautiful white dress for the school ball. But while helping her parents, the dress gets dirty. In the end, Gorya shows up in her regular clothes. Then, just like before, she receives a red card and is led to the old stadium. But this time, it is different. She gets a video call from Thyme, who seems far away but is actually nearby. Then suddenly, Thyme and the rest of F4 appear in front of her. And in that moment, he reaches out and asks her to dance. So the moral of the story is, if your school has a red card system and this much drama, just transfer and protect your peace.